Hello, my name is Rasyad, and I'm going to tell you the story of Bandung Fire. Okay. After Indonesia declared its independence, the government, which was just created at the time, was trying to establish its local governments, but was pressured by foreign powers who were much stronger at the time. Those pressures often caused conflicts, which helped create some historical events like Bandung Fire in 1946. On October 12, 1945, British forces sent the troops, which were led by Brigadier General MacDonald, to Bandung. He, he told the Indonesian government then to surrender their weapons, disarm their people, and demand the release of prisoners, mainly European prisoners. It turned out that the Indonesian people there didn't like that. They didn't like that the released prisoners disturbed the peace and often caused a lot of conflicts between them and the civilians. On November 21st, 1945, at night, the Indonesian militants launched a huge attack on Allied headquarters at Hotel Sabaykoman and Hotel Ranger. It was one of the largest armed conflicts at the time. 3 days later, Brigadier MacDonald launched a counterattack by issuing an ultimatum to the governor of West Java at the time, demanding to evacuate northern Bandung, which the citizens rejected. Thereafter, conflicts became more rampant and uncontrollable until the point that the Allied forces were overwhelmed by the conflicts. Those conflicts forced the Allied forces to issue another ultimatum to the Prime Minister of Indonesia at the time on March 22nd, 1946, and requested him to evacuate all civilians within the radius of 10 to 11 kilometers from the city center. Major General Nasution rejected the ultimatum, but the Prime Minister forced him to follow it so there won't be any more bloodshed. But he then organized a meeting with Indonesian army officers and the local government to discuss it. And they came to an agreement to burn down the city so that the Allied forces can use the city for military purposes and more. March 23rd, 1946, the evacuation started. The scorched earth strategy that they planned was planned to start at midnight, but at 9 p.m., Bang Rakyat had been burned down, which was then followed by buildings in Bancai, Daga, Cicadas, and Tagalaga. Meanwhile, in a village south of Bandung called Dayakolot, there was a huge conflict between the militants and the Allied forces, who were protecting the armory, which contained weapons and tons of gunpowder. Two militants, Muhammad Toha and Muhammad Ramdan, were commanded to burn the armory down, and it exploded. And the Allied forces were then defeated, even though those two men died of the explosion. The militants then continued to burn down the city and guarded more than 200,000 citizens to leave the city while burning their homes in just one night. The city had been burned down and became like a sea of fire from far away. And in the morning after, the city turned into a ghost town with debris and ruins all over the city. Several months later, the Indonesian militants finally recaptured the city, and the Indonesian War of Independence then ended in 1949. This event boosted the morale of the nationalist militants. It was also memorialized in a popular song called "Halo Halo Bandung," and it was and a monument commemorating the event was also erected in 1981, and Gelora Bandung Lautan Api Stadium in Bandung, which is the largest stadium in West Java, is named after this event.